The Buccaneers did what they should have done, and that's bring back Mike Edwards. That and more on today's episode of Locked On Bucs.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome into this live Friday episode of Locked On Bucs, your daily podcast covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bucs your first listen review every day. Don't forget you can subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can follow along on Twitter. I am James Yarcho at @JYarcho_Bucs, credentialed member of the media covering your Tampa Bay Buccaneers as editor-in-chief of the 813.tv, here with you every Monday through Friday, along with the everydayers. And for that, I want to share my appreciation for your continued support of the show. One of the ways you can support the show is become a Locked On Bucs insider. You're going to get news, rumors, updates, general thoughts, one-on-one conversations with me via text message. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes to become an insider today. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Wrapping up the mailbag questions and the Ask Me Anything questions coming up in a little bit, but let's start with the big news for the Bucs, and that is that safety Mike Edwards is back. I talked about it on yesterday's show after the news came down that Edwards was released by the Titans, and sure enough, Jason Light was obviously listening to the show, thought I had a great idea, and the Bucs were awarded Edwards on waivers, and he is, as he put it on Twitter, home. Now, there is a strong likelihood, obviously I joke about Jason Light, there is a strong likelihood that the Bucs had put a claim in for him the last time he was available, but the Titans had a higher priority, so the Bucs didn't get him. This time around, though, Edwards is back in town, and I'm not going to rehash all the reasons that this is a good idea. I did a big breakdown of it yesterday, so if you missed that show, go back, check it out. The entire first 10 minutes is about Mike Edwards, but I will reiterate that this move now opens things up for Bowles to go back to using Winfield as an all-around weapon rather than forcing him to stay back and protect the back end of the defense since the pass coverage has been so bad. There were plenty of times over the years that Winfield, Edwards, and Whitehead were all on the field together, and I fully expect that to be the plan this time around as well. Someone on Twitter, and I apologize, I don't remember the exact Twitter handle. I believe it was like Buccaneers Vault and then some numbers, but they put out a highlight reel of all of Edwards' interceptions as a member of the Buccaneers. And I would say on at least half of those, I saw all three of those players out there together. So this gives Bowles a little more flexibility, a little more playmaking potential in the secondary, more so than what he has been dealing with, and really start to ramp up their ability to get some takeaways and create some positive plays on defense, which have been so few and far between. Edwards is just on a one-year deal, so that means the Bucs have him for the next 7 games, maybe more, if they make the playoffs. I have no idea what the plan is after that. One of the insiders texted me, and he asked if I thought that Edwards would be one and done or if I thought the Bucs would bring him back next season. And honestly, right now, it's hard to tell. My gut tells me that this is a 2024 thing only. Who knows who the person is that's going to be calling the shots on defense, calling the shots as head coach, and whether or not Edwards would be a fit for that particular coordinator if things start to play out the way we're starting to think that they're going to play out. He hasn't really done anything noteworthy away from Todd Bowles. He had a couple of solid games with the Chiefs, but obviously they felt that they could upgrade the position. They moved on from him. He goes to the Buffalo Bills, doesn't really do anything there, goes to the Titans for a week. Now he's back in Tampa. So the next defensive coordinator, if Bowles isn't in Tampa, may not like him as a scheme fit. So that is that is a situation where we kind of have to wait and see, but more than likely, Edwards being back is just going to be for the remainder of 2024. Of course, in order to add Edwards, the Bucs had to make a corresponding move, and that was the release of cornerback Keenan Isaac. Isaac hasn't had any defensive snaps this season, and he's been on the field for just 27% of special team snaps. That's way down from last year where he had 45% of special team snaps, but it's not a huge blow to the depth of the team because he didn't play any defensive snaps last year, hasn't played any defensive snaps this year. So you're really losing a special teams guy, but even then he hasn't been on the field nearly as often. He goes from playing nearly half of the special team snaps to barely over a quarter. So pretty big drop off there. I don't really think the Bucs are losing anything, and what they are losing, they're more than making up for with Edwards' playmaking ability there on the back end. So this is a big move for the Bucs here. I really, really love this for them coming into the final stretch of the season with a lot of winnable games for Edwards to bring a little juice. Bring a little juice to that team, bring a little spark to that defense. And I said it yesterday, he doesn't fix the problems at inside linebacker with KJ Britt or JJ Russell. He doesn't solve the edge rusher problem. He doesn't bring players back from injury, but he brings experience in the system. He has a high success rate in the system. So he immediately steps in to help a severely struggling secondary. And then hopefully you get Tyke Smith back. Hopefully you get Jamel Dean back. And then all of a sudden, this secondary is looking a lot better than it was over the course of the last 6 weeks when they were dead last in passing defense, dead last in scoring defense, next to last in total defense. It's been bad. It really has. So he doesn't solve all the problems, but he does help. And that's all the Bucs are really looking for at this stage in the game. They just need some help. And I think Edwards really provides that. Gonna jump into the chat. We got Jimbo Shrump. That's still my favorite username on here, with all due respect to all of you in the live chat. Best news I've heard all week, but is it going to be enough in your opinion, or is it too little too late for the defense? I wouldn't say that it's too little too late. It's going to have enough of an impact that you're going to notice. And maybe instead of last in passing defense, they work their way up to the mid-20s. It's not a massive difference, but it's enough that you're going to notice. And maybe they aren't giving up quite as many yards. Maybe they're starting to get a few more takeaways. And that's really where Edwards' impact is going to come in, is the splash plays. Is he forcing fumbles? Is he getting interceptions? Is he recovering fumbles? Is he getting pass breakups? So those kinds of things are what you're going to notice. He's probably going to be a big player on third down. Demon Hunter in the chat is talking about with Mike Edwards back, do we see less of KJ Britt? I think that's really the big situation that you are going to see. KJ Britt on third down was not good. JJ Russell on third down was not good. Mike Edwards coming in on third down, that's where you're going to see probably the biggest jump for this defense is his playmaking ability on those crucial third downs to help the defense get off the field, force a punt, make a tackle, make a pass breakup, those types of things. So that will help a little bit. I did see David Stacks in the chat. Says play Whitehead at linebacker. Yeah, I'm not going to go quite that far. So, and then Demon Hunter, is Tyke on the list for defensive rookie of the year? Probably not, but there's a lot of time left. Usually it's not going to go to guys in the secondary unless they are just otherworldly. Like I know Sauce Gardner was absolutely incredible his rookie year. Devin Witherspoon last year was absolutely out of his mind. But it's going to go to more of the flashier positions. I don't really know who would be in the running for that, but Tyke Smith leading all rookies in forced fumbles. And actually, I think he's top 3 in the NFL overall in forced fumbles. That certainly helps. Need a few more splash plays out of him, if he's going to be in that level of conversation. But we do have some more mailbag questions coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. The Buccaneers are all the way up to plus 600 to win the NFC South and plus 13,000 to win the Super Bowl, trailing the Denver Broncos and tied with the New York Jets and Indianapolis Colts. The Chiefs remain the Super Bowl favorites at plus 430, followed by the Lions at plus 460, Ravens at plus 600, and Bills at plus 800. Visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you again for making Locked On Bucs your first listen review every day. The new Locked On NFL is here, and it's now 2 shows every day. You got the madman Tyler Rowland kicking off your morning with a double shot of NFL espresso. Then you can stop by the barbershop with Tony Wiggins for some real NFL talk. Add in the Locked On local experts, and you get unprecedented NFL insight, hot opinions, detailed breakdowns, all in 30 minutes. It's the new Locked On NFL, and it's twice a day. So make it your second listen at the new Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, goodness. Excuse me. I'm still battling this cold. All right. Getting through the last of these mailbag questions. And we're going to go to Insider Hammy, who says, and by the way, just forewarning, a lot of people asking about coaching changes. That's kind of been the theme. That's what's on Buccaneers fans' minds. That's what I'm answering. I do think it's going to happen. We're going to have a lot of time to talk about this, but I asked you guys to send in your questions. This is what people want to know about. So we have more questions about a potential coaching change. But Insider Hammy says, there's no better time than the bye to look forward, but let's look real forward. Who do you think is the Tampa Bay Bucks head coach in 2025? I agree, Liam Coen, but this is where it gets tricky. If that coach is not Liam, then who and why? Also can be Liam, but what scheme fit do you feel fits the Bucs offense and defense the best with the talent we have on the roster? So I think it would, will, should, shall be Liam Coen. But if we're going to look outside of him, just for the context of this question, I think the Bucs should absolutely look at Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. I think his scheme would be perfect in Tampa. He was nearly the head coach of the Commanders before taking himself out of the running last minute, wanted to make another run with the Lions, felt that they had something special there with Dan Campbell in the roster. But this is a guy that revitalized the career of a quarterback that a lot of people had given up on. That sounds a little familiar. He has two dynamic running backs that can run and catch out of the backfield. He has a big body tight end that can make tough catches in traffic and take hard hits. He has an elite wide receiver one and great complementary pieces around him, though none of those complementary pieces are as good as Chris Godwin. And he has a solid offensive line. So if the Lions and the Bucs offenses aren't, really freaking similar, then I don't know what to tell you. So offensively, if Liam isn't the guy, I'm going all in on Johnson because I think what he can do for this Bucs offense is going to mirror what he's been doing with the Lions offense, which is just next level fantastic. As far as a defensive-minded coach, they need to look at guys that run a 3-4 base. That's where you're going to be at your best. You have Vita Vea as your nose tackle. You have Yaya Diaby. You have some complementary edge rush pieces. You have Chris Braswell, who is a stand-up edge. He's been getting a little bit better each and every week. You still need that alpha guy, but this defense is really built to be a 3-4. But you're also probably looking for a first-time head coach. So you take a look at a team like the Chiefs, who have Steve Spagnuolo. The Browns have Jim Schwartz. The Eagles have Vic Fangio. Those guys didn't fare well as head coaches. So you probably are not looking for a retread at that moment in time. So someone like Nick Sorensen from the 49ers would be a nice option. He's been around the NFL for a while. He was an assistant special teams coach and then a secondary coach in Seattle, special teams coordinator in Jacksonville, defensive assistant, then defensive pass game specialist and Nichols coach, then the defensive coordinator for San Francisco. Works really well with an offensive-minded head coach there, obviously, with Shanahan. But I would look at someone like that. Sorensen's only 46 years old. He's pretty young by NFL coaching standards. So without doing like a full deep dive into, dozens of options, those are two guys that jump out to me immediately that could be head coaching options that have two different specialties in terms of one is offensive, one is defensive, and kind of looking outside of what the Bucs coaching staff is right now with Liam Coen. But I think at the end of the day, Liam Coen is if they move on from Todd Bowles, Liam Coen is going to be the guy. You don't want to lose him with the way he's run this offense, being one of the best in the NFL, even without Mike and Chris for, almost half their games now. That's probably the option you're going with. But Ben Johnson is incredibly intriguing to me. Insider J. Oh, boy. Insider J says whiskey or tequila, stout, lager, or IPA. Okay, so neither. I'm a rum guy, so my go-to is typically Bacardi and Coke with a lime. But if I have to choose between those two, I'll take tequila. I really like Terramana. It's really, really smooth. Then I guess lager, as Dierks Bentley said in one of my favorite country songs, domestic, light, and cold is what I'm after. I don't like IPAs at all. I've had tons of people tell me that I need to try this one or that one, or I haven't found the right one. No, I have tried dozens of IPAs. They're all disgusting. Just give me a normal, regular guy, domestic beer and leave it at that. I will be perfectly happy. I do want to jump into the chat. I have another Ask Me Anything coming up. Let's see. David, come on, man. He says, if it's not Liam, it's Gruden, ? LOL. Oh, sweet mother of all things holy. No. And for those of you that have been longtime listeners to this show, you probably remember when things started to heat up a little bit about, Gruden wanted to get back into coaching. He might be coming back to the Buccaneers, this, that, and the other thing. And David Harrison and I did a deep dive on exactly how bad of a coach John Gruden actually was with the Buccaneers. He had probably the worst draft record of any coach in Buccaneers history. He was absolutely terrible. He was so stubborn in everything that he did. And that was evident when he was with the Raiders before he was fired from that job. He did not adapt. He did not, you know, I will always have respect for John Gruden for what he did for the Buccaneers coming in and winning a Super Bowl. He's a University of Dayton guy. I love that. He and I have had a couple of conversations. He's always been incredibly kind to me, and I like him as a person. I don't ever want to see him working for the Buccaneers ever again. Fausto with another Ask Me Anything question says, where is Juan Soto going in free agency? Well, Fausto, I don't watch baseball anymore. I used to love it. I've been a big Red Sox fan for a long time. But the last time I paid attention to baseball was in 2018 when the Sox beat the Dodgers in the World Series. Actually got a World Series Red Sox hat from one of the players on the team because he has hometown roots near where I am. But since then, I haven't paid it any attention. With that said, Soto's going to the Red Sox. They meet in the next week or so. He's going to go play for the Red Sox. I'm not saying that as a homer. I'm saying that as what I truly believe is actually going to end up unfolding. So there is that was baseball talk with James, and that's about as far as we're going to go. Other than it kind of stinks that the Rays are going to have to play at the Yankees spring training facility, but also kind of cool that they're playing directly next door to Ray J. People have been screaming for the Rays to play in Tampa for a very long time. Let's see if the people in Tampa put their money where their mouth is and show up to some Rays games now that they're in Tampa. Awful what happened to the Trop. Love it or hate it. It was terrible to see what happened. It stinks that they're going to be displaced for next season, but pretty cool that there are a couple of times on the schedule that you can go to a 1:00 Bucs game, walk right next door for a 4:25 first pitch for the Rays. I think that's awesome. We are going to empty out the mailbag coming up next. And go ahead in the chat, start dropping your Ask Me Anything questions. That's next on today's episode of Locked On Bucs. History, economics, the great works of literature, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution. Did you study these things in school? Probably not. Or even if you did, maybe it's time for a refresher. Time and technology have changed a lot of things, but they have not changed basic fundamental truths about the world and our place in it. Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution, Introduction to Free Market Economics, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, and a personal favorite of mine, Mark Twain, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, and selected short stories. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced so that you can start whenever and tune in wherever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or just sit back and enjoy the lectures. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/locked-on to enroll. There's no cost and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/locked-on to register. hillsdale.edu/locked-on. Whether you're dodging tackles on the field or cheering from your couch, The Joint Chiropractic has your back, literally. As an official chiropractor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're here to make sure that you're always in the game, no matter your role. If you're feeling the pain after a long week or just looking to stay active, they offer personalized care to help you bounce back stronger. 90% of elite athletes, including NFL pros, rely on chiropractic care to stay at the top of their game and perform their best. At The Joint, you don't need an appointment. Just walk in and get the care you need same day. No scheduling hassles. Just walk in whenever it's convenient for you. Here's the real kicker. As a Bucs fan, you can get your first visit for just $19. Head over to Buccaneers.com, check out the contest and promotion section under the fans tab, and download the offer. A great deal for great fans. Head to thejoint.com to find your nearest Tampa area location. Wrapping things up here on a live Friday edition of the Locked On Bucs podcast. And I appreciate all the well wishes in the chat for my son. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. He is having surgery next week on his torn ACL. Stinks that his hockey season ended early, but he's a tough kid. Yeah, I appreciate all the well wishes for his recovery. Real quick in the chat, I know I saw it. Richard asked me, did you listen to the new Linkin Park album released today? I did not. I heard a couple of songs on Sirius XM. One of their channels is doing Linkin Park radio for the weekend. And so I heard a couple of songs on there from the new album. My wife listened to it. She said that she really, really enjoyed it. But I'm going to be listening to it while I'm at work tomorrow. And then let's see. We had Lakita asked, did you go to U of I? I'm assuming you mean University of Illinois. I did not. So my Illinois fandom comes from my granddad. My granddad went to the University of Illinois. That I behind me was the letter that he was given when he joined the track team, when he transferred there from Nebraska, held the school record in the mile. At one point, he had the school record at the University of Nebraska and the University of Illinois in the mile. So he was a student athlete there at U of Illinois. So my dad grew up an Illinois fan. Then I also grew up an Illinois fan. So that's where my Illini love comes from is my granddad. I'm working on trying to get my son to go there. He wants to go to Notre Dame. I get it. If he gets into Notre Dame, great. But I'm also saying, hey, what you want to study, Illinois got a really good program. Maybe you can be the next Yarcho to attend Illinois. But Scotty J with a follow-up to yesterday's question, he wrote in, if Todd goes 9-8 this year, misses the playoffs, keeping in mind the myriad of injuries he's had to deal with, does he keep his job? If they make the playoffs at 9-8, same question. If he doesn't make the playoffs, no, he's not keeping his job. In fact, I think if the Bucs don't make the NFC Championship, he's gone. They have to make a serious run, and they're going to have to win some playoff games convincingly with that defense taking a giant leap forward over the last 7+ weeks. They wasted a really good offense this season with one of the worst defenses in the league, and it's going to take a Herculean effort to undo that damage down the stretch. Playoffs alone, in my opinion, do not save his job. It would have to be reaching the conference championship at least. And even then, if your defense gives up 40-some points in that game, you're probably still gone. You know, don't forget, Dungy was fired after making the playoffs numerous years in a row. When you're on the cusp, you can't waste it. You know, you can't waste it on a coach that can't get you over the hump. You go out and you find one that will. So, I think it would take a real serious turnaround for Todd Bowles to be able to save his job. But I don't know. I don't know what the Glazers are thinking. I don't know what Jason Light is thinking. This is just my opinion from the outside looking in as to what has happened. I saw that if games decided by one score had the opposite result, the Bucs would be 7-3 right now. Think about that. If the defenses had just gotten one stop, the Bucs would be 7-3 because of those one-score games. That's really hard to look at and justify keeping your defensive guru head coach. Noah on Twitter sent in a DM and he said, I love the Wolverine you have in the background, and I remember you and David doing Star Wars reviews a long time ago. I know you're a big Star Wars guy, but what is your all-time favorite movie? That's a good question. I do love Star Wars. They kind of gone off the rails with their last few projects, but I am looking forward to season 2 of Andor. I know a lot of people that wasn't their bag. I personally loved it. As far as my favorite movie, that's kind of like the music question. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm in the mood for funny. Sometimes it's action, suspense, thriller. But one movie from the moment I saw it in theaters had me hooked. Anytime it's on TV, I'll leave it on. I had it on DVD, then I upgraded it to Blu-ray in my collection. I'll stream it whenever I can. I probably watch it about a half dozen or so times a year, and it's The Departed. You know, the Martin Scorsese movie, Leo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Alec Baldwin. Yeah, absolutely incredible cast. Martin Sheen, who also from Dayton, you know, from where I am. I absolutely love that movie. Everything about it, beginning to end, one of my absolute favorite. I'm going to go with that one. In the chat, let's see, what do we have? Does Ray J and Steinbrenner Field share a parking lot? They share like parking areas. You know, there's a lot of different lots for Ray J. Steinbrenner, I don't know what their capacity is for seating. But yeah, parking is going to be a nightmare when they have games going on at the same time. But could be a lot of fun. And there legitimately may be some people that are like, well, we're going to go to the Bucs game and then we're just going to stay parked and we're going to walk across the street and we're going to go watch the Rays. I think that would be one heck of a Sunday. You know, if I was a, you know, Tampa resident. Richard says Sith or Jedi. Sith all the way. They have the coolest toys. They have the coolest powers. And they have the coolest costumes. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Sith. We got, let's see. Bryce says, hard to find a bigger Chester fan than me. Dude's why I write and got into music, but new Linkin Park is awesome. They're doing him proud. I love Chester. I absolutely love him. I had the honor of seeing him in concert twice. Once when Linkin Park first came out with Hybrid Theory, and then the second time was when my wife and I had just started dating. It was the Project Revolution tour right after Minutes to Midnight had come out. His talent left me in awe every single time. How he could do what he does was just absolutely amazing. I do agree, though. You know, it's a different sound. It's kind of a different band, and I think they would be better received if they weren't still called Linkin Park. If they were like an entirely new band, they would probably be better received. I think there are a lot of people I see. Demon Hunter in the chat saying, not sure I can listen to any new Linkin Park. It won't be the same. It's not the same. It's very different, but it's still really good. You know, the few songs that I have heard are really fantastic. And like I said, I think if they'd been called by any other name, they would have been much better received. Let's see. Is that a nihilus between your Logans? No, that is Darth Vader. That is battle damage Darth Vader from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series when, you know, his helmet got split. So, and then last one, let's swing it back to football. Alexander, if you had to pick one current NFC South player that you like, who would it be? Can't be a former Buccaneer. So there are a lot of players in the NFC South that I do like. If I'm being genuinely honest, Tyrann Mathieu has been one of my favorite players since he was at LSU. I love watching Jesse Bates play football. As much as I can't stand the Bengals, I have always loved watching him play. I love watching Bijan Robinson play football. Really not too many people on the Panthers right now that I really care for. I'm excited to see Jonathan Brooks in the NFL and if he translates. I do like watching Drake London. Alvin Kamara has always been an exciting player to me. I don't want to I don't want to heap too much praise onto him or the Saints. I don't want to say that I wish for his success because I want the Saints to lose, obviously, but he's a player that I've always really enjoyed and really liked. But I would say if I'm going to pick a favorite non-Buccaneer NFC South player, I'm going to go with Jesse Bates. And it's really everything about the way he plays the safety position. He's been one of the best safeties in the NFL for a long time. He and Antoine Winfield Jr. are the two best in the business, in my opinion. And so, yeah, I'd go with Jesse Bates. All right. I got to circle back. Last one, Scotty J. Chester and Chris Cornell are missed. The last time I saw Linkin Park in concert, Chris Cornell was one of the opening acts. He came out on stage and did Crawling with Linkin Park. It was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Seeing him do Black Hole Sun and all his stuff, but then to come out and perform with Linkin Park, it was amazing. So I'm going to end it on that note. We will be back on Monday with a brand new Locked On Bucs. We're back to game week, folks. We're back to game week. We're talking about the Bucs and the Giants, but please check out everything going on over at the 813.tv. Follow on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at JYarcho_Bucs. Become a Locked On Bucs insider. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes. And make sure you're following on YouTube with those notifications turned on and on your favorite podcast platform. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, fire the cannons. Want to thank you so much for joining me right here on Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.